What can we do when our last hope fails?
Wait a minute. No one told me Kratos was going to be in this game.
Our last hope sailed this sea before you.
Man, I really like the music for this game. So welcome to Jesus! I'm going back to Dauntless. This game treats me better, man. So, as I was trying to say before I was rudely gutted by several enemies in a tutorial, welcome to Remnant. This video is kinda just to raise awareness of a cool game that not enough people know about in my opinion, as well as giving my own opinion. When I had COVID a few months back, I put 53 hours into the game over 6 days, so I think it's safe to say I quite enjoy the game. Remnant is a third-person hardcore RPG, available on PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox Series S and X, as well as PC, the footage of this video being on the PS4 version. The video will be sort of half comedy, half review. I hope you enjoy the video as much as I enjoy the game. Off. Something's not right here. Oh, thank God, it was all just a nightmare. I'm not really dead. Never mind, there is a child, I'm still in my nightmare. So at this point you get to pick your archetype, your starting loadout. You have the Scrapper, who is your up-close, heavy armor, shotgun and a hammer. You've got your Ex-Cultist, which is your mid-range. You've got a coach gun and a hatchet. And you've got your Hunter, your long range with light, maneuverable, yet frail armor, and a hunting rifle and a sword to boot. I'm more of an up-close and personal guy, so I tend to go with the Scrapper most times. Now at this point, I want to talk about the combat system in the game. As it is a hardcore RPG, that being the same genre as games like Bloodborne and Dark Souls, the combat is an integral part of playing the game. I'm sure that there is a way to get through the game without killing anything but the bosses, and I'm sure that somewhere some madman out there has done it. I am not some madman. Wait, the bosses vape before your fight? That must be why they're so hard. They're strengthened by all the nicotine. It makes so much sense now. In Remnant, there are a plethora of weapons and armor to choose from light, maneuverable yet frail armor, to heavy-duty stuff that takes a good beating for you, but lessens your movement capabilities. Each piece of armor has its own effect, which allows your character to spec into certain playstyles. The more pieces you have on the same armor set, the more powerful the effect becomes. Rings and amulets also allow for more customization, with each character being able to equip 2 rings and 1 amulet into their set. My personal favourite rings are the Compulsion Loop, which increases movement speed by 20%, fire rate by 15%, and melee speed by 10% for 7 seconds after slaying an enemy, resetting the timer upon every kill, and the Sage Stone, which allows the user to gain 30% more experience than they normally would upon every kill. The experience you get upon killing enemies will eventually amount up and give you a trait point. Traits are permanent buffs for your character that you can use your points on to level up to a maximum of level 20. These buffs can be important things, such as percentage increases in health, stamina, critical hit damage and chance, as well as experience gain. Every ballistic weapon in the game is useful in its own way, ranging from explosive pistols to shotguns, fully automatic rifles and snipers. There's a weapon for every playstyle in the game. Doubling down on this, you can also have a melee weapon in your build, with everything between a hammer to pummel your enemies and claws to rip through them available. You can make your ballistic weapons even more powerful too, with weapon mods, offering such as incendiary rounds, summons, healing pools, homing projectiles and more. Boss weapons come with powerful mods already embedded in them, so they're already at their full potential when you receive them. There's so much customization for the player to commit just the right amount of chaos and destruction for them. every playstyle is defined by the player. The bosses in the game are no joke. I personally have spent hours on even just the dungeon bosses, let alone the world bosses that appear at the end of each chapter of the game. The world seed is naturally and randomly generated every single time you play through the game, so you'll have a hard time getting the same bosses twice. This allows you to find new items, loot, areas, and new bosses to fight in every playthrough of the game. No two experiences are the same, unless you're playing multiplayer. Overall, I really enjoyed playing this game. There's just so much content in the game that even in my 150 hours of playtime, I'm still yet to have fought even close to every boss in the game, over 6 different save files. I hope that this somewhat mediocre review / failed attempt at comedy made you want to try out the game too. Now, if you'll excuse me, I've said quite a lot of words on the internet for an antisocial butterfly such as myself. So, if you don't mind, I'm gonna go ahead and throw myself back into bed. Ow, fuck, I missed.